15 minutes until 8 o'clock, and we're talking about America's small farmers. Are they under attack? And our guest is early. Why don't you come on in, Dwayne? Come on in and sit down. This is come on in, grab a seat there, and pull that microphone there, and let's go ahead and get into it, because we've got our listeners calling, and they may want to ask you questions. Our phone number, if you want to get in on the conversation, is 800-469-0098 or 276-466-0098. And are your headphones okay? You want me to turn them up or down?
Maybe need a
little up?
Right there.
Okay, very good. All right, 7:45, and if you want to join our conversation at any time, you're free to call in. And we have Russell County GOP Chairman Dwayne McIntyre. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Well, we've been talking about the small farmers and what all is going on, and people are coming and going on. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about this honoring small farmers, and then we'll get into some of the really good stuff.
All right. Well,
I mean, not that your story's not good. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, like I said, my name is Dwayne McIntyre. I'm a small farmer out of Russell County. I sell at the Abingdon Farmers Market. I sell grass-finished beef and pastured chicken. And basically, I joined the party back in 2012, and I've just been very active and vocal in trying to, do stuff, I guess, and be influential. And lo and behold, this year I was elected chairman, and I've kind of made it my mission, since I can't really find it anywhere else in the party, to be the voice of small farmers in the party.
And as I recall, you lean libertarian. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, constitutional conservative is definitely a better way to put it, I believe.
Constitutional conservative. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, there's nothing wrong with the libertarian. There's a lot of things that I agree with libertarians. And when I made my statement a while ago about the government, just stay out of my life.
Exactly.
And I think that we both kind of go that way. But tell us about this honoring small farmers thing.
Well, basically, becoming chairman of the party, I've inherited a banquet. And so, one of the big things within the party is that there's not a lot of activity. It's hard to get new people out and stuff. And so, trying to figure out how to attack that problem while throwing this banquet, it just dawned on me to, be the voice of small farmers. And so I've crafted the banquet around the whole idea, and we are pushing legislation next year on behalf of small farmers. So basically, I just figured, it's all Republican legislation. We can showcase the Republican Party. We can, honor small farmers. It was just kind of a no-brainer. And once Joel Salatin committed to the banquet, it just kind of became what it is on its own.
Well, Joel Salatin looks like a nice guy, and you would think, with the Gestapo techniques that we've been talking about with the raids on small farms, you would think somebody that was speaking at a convention like this would look, like a terrorist or something. But he's just a nice-looking guy with a cowboy hat on.
Oh, yeah. Joel is wonderful. I got to work with him in the spring. In January, I went and spoke before the Subcommittee of Agriculture on behalf of the Food Freedom Act, and met Joel there, and I got kind of absorbed into a task force that we met with the Board of Agriculture, lobbyists, and all these people trying to figure out how to get them on board with our legislation. And so, I got to meet him there, and he's a wonderful guy. He's been fighting this fight for 20 plus years, and he's a champion amongst small farmers.
You're talking about the Food Freedom Act. Is that a state of Virginia thing?
Yes, that is a piece of legislation being submitted by Delegate Rob Bell. He is basically a piece of legislation that basically says all small farmers can do what they need to do. That you can sell your product off your farm with no fear of government, coming down on you. I
want to talk about that fear of government coming down on you part in just a moment. It's time for a break, and our guest this morning is Dwayne McIntyre. He is Russell County GOP chairman, And we're talking about small farmers. Are they under attack? 10 minutes till 8 o'clock, George West, Super Talk 92.9. Man, it's almost hump day. It is Tuesday, September 16th. George West here with you at 8 minutes till 8 o'clock. We've got a mostly cloudy sky. Was it cloudy when you came in this morning?
Very much so.
Okay. I have this real scientific way of finding sky conditions. I walk outside and look up. And we're shooting for a high today around 77 degrees. Our guest this morning is the chairman of the Russell County GOP, Dwayne McIntyre. And we were talking off mic during that break about, I said, is it the who are you dealing with? Is it the feds or the state or both?
It's definitely both. But, our ability is just a lot easier to deal with the state rather than the Fed, because the Fed, the whole country has to work together to change the Fed, whereas only we have to work together to change the state.
Well, what is going on? How is you were talking the other night that the small farmer has a disadvantage to the big mass scale industrial farmer. Explain the difference.
Well, first off, they have money to lobby for their cause, and they have the influence over candidates who need a lot of money to campaign to become elected officials. So that is the main one overall.
Well, how are the small farmers disadvantaged? What's the result? The money is the reason, but what's the result?
The result is that we just aren't heard. Basically, it just, they continue to make more and more laws. They continue to just run us over and push us out, and, there's really nothing we can do about it. And
they use issues like health. They say that your products are unhealthy?
Yeah, pretty much, and unsafe. We had back in January, I spoke before the Subcommittee of Agriculture on behalf of the Food Freedom Act. And, there was over 100 farmers in the room. There was a petition with 4 days. We had 5,000 signatures, and a few days after the fact, we got 3,000 more. So there was 8,000 signatures in a week. And we showed up, and there was 5 or 6 fat cats along the wall who basically dictated to the committee how they were to vote on that bill to get it out of committee. And, it just, all that show of small farmers, and there was just nothing. Those guys opened their mouth, and that's what happened,
It's just not right.
No, it's very much not right.
Well, let me ask you a question. There are a lot of people that get into organic and small farming, and do they pick on people for their own? Like you, I have a garden, and I'm an organic gardener. Do they pick on me, or if it's when I cross that line of selling my tomatoes?
Well, that's the thing. These guys will tell you, oh, safety, safety, safety. So we milk a cow, me and my family. We drink all of our own milk. And, I turn down people all the time for selling it. They ask all the time to buy milk, and I tell them no, and so, it is unsafe, quote unquote, to sell our product to the marketplace. Well, we can give it away.
Yeah.
So, to me, it doesn't seem like safety is really the issue. It's the money that's the issue. And, the moment you accept money for that product, the government has to be there.
Follow the money. Always follow the money. Well, tell us about some of these raids that I've heard about on the small farmer.
Yeah, well, kind of stems back to 9/11. And if you really look deeper into the problem, it stems all the way back to the IRS, the creation of the IRS, because that's where they get their national purse. They collect $2 trillion a year, so they've got plenty of money to work this magic. But, back in 2002, the Homeland Security Act was passed by Republicans, unfortunately, and signed into law by a Republican president. And, basically it militarized the full cabinet of the president, all these departments, Department of Education and whatnot. And, ever since then, it's slowly started, and the whole idea was that this was for agro-terrorism, to prevent agro-terrorism in our country. And, in 2004 was one of the first ones. They went in, raided, 10-hour raid, held the family by gunpoint, took blueberry bushes and, I mean, you know, all types of stuff out of their farm. And I don't even, they never even really clarified why. And since then, it's just escalated. There's been over 20 incidences where SWAT teams have gone into small farmers and raided them, and it just keeps escalating. Like in 2010 alone, it happened over 10 times.
Well, I can understand that though, Dwayne, with the hundreds of thousands of people that die every year from drinking raw milk.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, but what they say is that if milk was legal, that's the kind of numbers we would see. You know, so, but, you know, there's plenty of states. There's only 17 states in the whole entire country that actually ban raw milk. There's the rest of them have some form or another legalized it. It's on the market. There's 11 states, I believe it's 11 states, that have full deregulation. You slap a label on it that says this is raw milk from a cow off of a farm, not processed in a facility that's inspected. And, you know, and they don't have any.
Well, what about my state? Do you know if Tennessee has regulations?
Oh, I'm not too sure. Honestly, I cannot sit and say for
What
sure.
about your state, Virginia?
Well, we are, you know, it's fully illegal to sell raw milk. In fact, Mark Warner, he was trying to get a movement going to just completely even ban me from personally milking my own cow and drinking it. So, you know, they're definitely on the prowl to shut it down. But basically in our state, the only thing that we are allowed to do is a milk share program, which is just some legalistic way around things. You know, we just have to sign all these papers and do all this stuff. And basically what it is, you know, if I was doing a milk share, you would own the cow and you're just hiring me to milk your cow for you.
It's nuts. Well, if you'd like to join us this morning, our number is 800-469-0098 or 276-466-0098. Why can't, we've got about a minute before we do an information break, but why can't they just have it where, you know, if I want to buy raw milk from you, I can sign a statement knowing of the dangers that could happen to my body and just sign a statement and then sell me raw milk. Why can't they just do that?
Well, I mean, I think it's obvious. I don't think they're interested in you know, our freedom so much as, you know, their industry that they're protecting. So, you know, if they allow that, then basically that's what they have to look forward to, is just a exodus of supermarket buyers to come to the farmer's market to get a product that you can only get in the supermarket. So that's my guess. I mean,
well, we're going to into our information break. Do you see any hope? Is there any light at the end of the tunnel on this deal?
Well, absolutely. I mean, next year there's a lot of legislation going to Richmond, and there is a lot going on in the state this year promoting this legislation. And I have a feeling, I mean, if they even refuse this next year, it's going to be by the sweat of their brow.
Talking to Dwayne McIntyre. He is the chairman of the Russell County GOP, and we're talking about small farmers. Are they under attack? And we'll continue our conversation after this information break. It's 8 o'clock. George West, Super Talk 92.9. Hey, good morning to you. How you doing this morning? Is that right? It is 8:07, George West with you. Are America's small farmers under attack? In the studio with us is our guest this morning, Russell County GOP Chairman Dwayne McIntyre. And he says small farmers are under attack by not only the federal government, but even the state government in states like Virginia. Is that true?
Well, I think that, I mean, yeah, there's been attempts in Virginia, and, you know, there is a desire to implement more regulation on us. But I think overall, I think we're just kind of in a limbo state right now where we have the opportunity to pull all that back before it gets any worse. Some other states are actually a lot worse than us. So.
One of them must be California, because when you gave us a challenge, you said Google raw milk and what?
SWAT team.
Yeah, raw milk and SWAT team. And man, this California video comes up. Whoa!
Yeah.
We have a caller on the line wants to join the conversation. Here's Bob. Bob, what say you this morning?
Hi, good morning, George.
Good morning.
Originally, I'm from about 60 miles south of Superior, Wisconsin. I grew up there as a young boy. Right now, I'm living in Bakersfield, North Carolina. But as a young boy, the FAA had come along back in the 70s, and they were union back then. And they were all upset because the market price had dropped on milk. So they started forcing all the farmers to dump their milk down the drain. And anybody that didn't comply would get their barn burnt down. And I remember as a young man sitting up in the haymow with a 30-06 watching over my family's farm at night to make sure that these men wouldn't come in and burn down our barn.
Now,
this is an animal that's reared its head long, long ago and has kind of been dormant. And I think they just kind of been sitting back thinking that they could weed out all the old original farmers. And now that hasn't happened and some of the farmers are still hanging in there, I think they're at a last straw here. I'm not quite sure what they're trying to prove, but they're definitely ruining our American way of life.
Bob, you're talking about North Korea. You're not talking about them burning your barn down because, right? It's what are you talking about? Where was this? It wasn't Wisconsin.
Back in the 70s, there was the Farming Administration formed a union, and when when they weren't getting milk prices that they thought they should get, they were forcing all the farmers in the United States, up in Wisconsin, to dump their milk back in the 70s, and if they refused,
They'd burn your barn?
Come in and burn your barn down.
Oh, my!
And this was more of a union than what it was a federal organization at the time. And I was just wondering if your guest happened to recall that.
Well, I wasn't born yet. I was born in '78, so I definitely have not specifically heard about that. But there's no surprise here. I mean, I've definitely heard enough to know that. Unfortunately, money makes people do a lot of crazy stuff, and it makes people want more, so they do what they got to do to get it.
Hey, Bob, I appreciate you calling this morning. That's crazy wild. 800-469-0098 or 276-466-0098. And we're trying to come up with some audio from your guest speaker. And how do you pronounce his name again?
Joel Salatin.
Joel Salatin. And he is a farmer. And all these videos popping up, he's like not only like an activist to help small farmers, but the guy's like a how-to guy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when you go to your local farm market and you buy grass-finished beef or you buy pastured poultry, I mean, he is one of the biggest people. Basically, this is my take on what happened. In Virginia, there was all those tobacco subsidies that came in and got farmers all on board with tobacco. And then when the subsidies pulled out, everybody collapsed. The whole farming industry, small farmer industry collapsed here in Virginia. And basically, he took a lot of this infrastructure and just converted it over to diversity farming. And, a lot of your rotational grazing and this pastured poultry, systems, all these systems basically are promoted and tailored by him to help us maximize our production off of our farms.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the story that you were telling the other night? You got into it a little bit, how they came in and they got everybody subsidized and got everybody on tobacco here, and then another crop in another state, and then they just come in and pull the rug out from under you. And then you talked about the your home state, which is Pennsylvania, right?
Yes.
And how the who was it, the Amish or
the Amish? Yes.
Yeah. How that they've fought this. Just tell that story if you don't mind.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, here in Virginia, I mean, from what I gather and from what I hear from all the farmers I talk to, this was a huge tobacco state. It's no secret. And apparently what happened was the government came in and subsidized tobacco and guaranteed farmers money for their tobacco. So most of the farmers, I mean, it was a real rural region. A lot of the farmers here went to tobacco because it was a guaranteed paycheck. During that time, a lot of these regulations is where they implemented, all these harsher regulations, really tied the knots in the ropes holding everybody down now. And, it wasn't bothering anybody because, they were making money off tobacco. And then when those subsidies, were pulled, basically, there was no guarantee of money there. So any of the farmers who wanted to go back to traditional farming and our great American heritage of selling amongst your community, your farm product, basically there was too many rules in place. And so, a lot of farmers just went out of business, lost their farms, whatnot. Now up in Pennsylvania, that was kind of happening also at the same time, except for the Amish population up there were big, already diversified farming, selling food at the food stands, at the farmers markets. All this stuff that we're just entering into now here in Virginia was already established, years ago. And so when all the big reg came in to regulate farms up there, the Amish clogged up. I mean, it's kind of a story amongst Pennsylvanians that if you mess with the Amish, they'll clog up the traffic with horse and buggies in Harrisburg because that's what they do, and they all stick together, and that's their power in numbers. Is they will all go. I mean, 5,000, 10,000 Amish in the courtrooms or at the at the assembly up there. When things are getting tied up, and if you look now, I mean, they've got a lot of freedom. They seem to be exempt, and that was the solution up there. All right, well, let's get rid of these Amish. We'll exempt you, and now the Amish don't fight the food fight anymore for everybody else because they have their exemption. I mean, you've been talking about school systems over the last couple days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, well, up there, Amish have their own school system. I mean, could you imagine if I was just like, all right, we're tired of the school system. We're going to just do our own thing. Let's just make a school system. If people want to send their kids here, they can do it. That would never happen. But the Amish have their own exempted school system that's not under.
It's almost like they're Native Americans or something.
Yeah.
In a reservation.
Well, it's just their numbers. I mean, they stick together. Their community's tight. Here in Virginia, if we want this stuff, the farmers have to come out in full number and get each other's back and go to Richmond. And there's.
Are you listening?
Yeah.
Calling all farmers.
Yeah, I mean that we just have to do it. If we want this stuff, we all need to stick together, go to Richmond, and the reality is that if you look at the 7th district election with Eric Cantor, that was pretty big news when he lost to David Bratt.
Yeah.
He just relied on all that big money he gets from all these campaign donors, and he lost touch with his constituents. And it's the reality is it's the constituents that elect these people to office, not that big money that they keep.
Oh, how sweet it was to see. The little guy win. We're talking to Dwayne McIntyre. He's chairman of the Russell County Republican Party. We're talking about small farmers, and we'll be talking the good, the bad, and the ugly coming up. We have another guest, Roger Hutchins, we're going to be talking to, and we'll get into a little farming with Roger, and then we'll be back on topic. It is 8:17, George West, Super Talk 92.9. Great talking to I started to say Ray Hutchins. Roger Hutchins. That was great. All right. It is 8:27. George West with you. And our guest this morning is the GOP chairman of Russell County, Dwayne McIntyre. And we're talking about small farmers. Pretty fascinating stuff. And I know that people are going into work right now, some people. And I want you to talk about this Honoring Small Farmers campaign or whatever it is coming up.
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, when I became chairman, I inherited this banquet. And so, I've decided that, we're going to actually attack some real issues, try to bring out some real people who normally aren't on the party beat. And so, we're going to honor small farmers. Our guest speaker is Joel Salatin. He's going to come all the way down here and give an hour presentation on everything I want to do is illegal. And we're going to have a half-hour Q&A. We're going to have, and we're going to wrap up the event presenting all the great legislation that's going to Richmond next year that's going to help us create a buffer between us and the feds, because those are the ones that are really doing all the SWAT. So basically, we're just going to, it's a fully catered event. It's going to be, it's going to be a great time. And when I joined the party, like I said, I joined the party a couple years ago, and I've been on the beat and I've been talking about farmer issues. And the reality is it's not any specific politician's fault that things are kind of this way. I mean, when you ask a lawyer, hey, what's your view on small farmer issues? And they go, small farmers have issues, or they go to Farm Bureau and say, hey, what's the farmer issues? Oh, great, subsidies. That's what we need to solve everything. And so, basically it's just a really good opportunity for the party itself to learn about the issues of the farmers. And it's a good opportunity for the farmers to come in and meet our elected officials and find some common ground. I mean, raw milk, for instance, is not an issue that everybody's going to agree with. So, if you have a delegate or a senator who isn't really into the raw milk, but they are property right advocates, we can work with that delegate or senator on property rights.
Yeah, we got to get together. It is 8:30, and we have time for maybe one call. Let's go to Daryl right now. Daryl, what say you this morning?
Well, first of all, Mr. George, you're the man. Thank you now. I am a small farmer, and most of my income comes from farming. Hire no help, do my own labor. I can a lot of food. In fact, I sat on Boone Lake and worked up beans last night while I was fishing. That wouldn't go over the government real well, would it? But anyway, they come to the...
You were multitasking.
I'm multitask, and like I say, I don't want government help. I don't take their freebies, which is the cattle head cakes and all that. And most of you small farmers jump on that. That's a no-no for me. I don't let the government on my place. I don't want nothing to do with them. And... but I've canned food for years. I do hundreds and hundreds of quarts. I'm a working machine on it. And I've been offered, the people come and saw my products, I was offered to teach young, pregnant, desperate little girls how to can. And my wife, of course, wouldn't let me do that for obvious reasons. But anyway, they come to the market and they send out a pamphlet to sell your baby goats, which I'm looking at right now. And little pigs and chickens must be expected.
I hear you. I hear you, chickens. I hear those chickens. That's not your wife, is it?
Yeah, I'm baby goats. I've got 8 little baby goats. They go to the market. My customers get to play with them. I turn them loose and let them play at the markets. And it's just a treasure for the people. But anyway, they wanted to have them inspected by the vet before you sell them. Obviously, you can't afford that, and that just stops you. And the canned food, they wanted to have a get-together with all the farmers, and they do 4 or 5 products all they'd be able to sell. That's not going to happen. I just quit because we do a lot of different things.
Hey, Daryl, I want to hear what you're saying. Could you hold through this break and come back with us after this break?
Yes, sir.
Do you have time to do that?
Yes, sir.
I would really appreciate it because I want to hear what you're saying. So, we'll be back with Daryl and our guest here in the studio with us, Dwayne McIntyre. And just a couple of minutes. It is 8:32. George West, Super Talk 92.9. It is amazing, and it is happening right now. 23 minutes till 9 o'clock. Good morning. George West with you. People are calling, wanting to know about this Honoring Small Farmers meeting going on in Russell County. Here is the website. Are you ready? www.russellcountyvagop.org. That is www.russellcountyvagop.org. That's where you go. Or you can call the Republican Party, 276-971-0072. There's no way you're going to remember that. So go to my website, The George West Show, and we'll put this information on there for you. Our guest this morning is Dwayne McIntyre, and we had Daryl on the phone. And, Daryl, you made a point that Dwayne was talking about during the break. Remake your point there, Dwayne.
Yeah, Daryl, you had mentioned about how the government wants to come in and give you water troughs, probably put up some fencing, maybe quarantine part of your farm off for conservancy, and that you didn't bite into it. And I just think it's a very important piece of information because, signing those contracts with the government for them to come in and develop your land, basically, I mean, you're tying up your hands on your own ability to do what you want and control your land the way that you want to.
What say you, Daryl?
Well, I say I don't need anyone's help. I'm a self-made man. I'm 65 years old. I'll outwork anyone that's ever lived if I feel like it. And I can do my own thing. But the way I see this is all control. It's a takeaway, what would you call it? Takeaway tradition. The biggest tradition in America is the small farmer.
It's actually,
you take away the small farmer, you take away church, take away the Boy Scouts, take away all that. You've got what you want, which is government control.
Yeah, it's our heritage.
There's no other way to put it.
Can you say Agenda 21? You know anything about Agenda 21, Daryl?
I'm not that smart. I don't even have a computer, but I spend all my time working and fishing. I'm sorry.
Well, you'd be surprised. You know a little bit more about Agenda 21 than you already know. The government coming in, developing your land, putting in water troughs, fencing, buffer zones.
Yes, sir.
That's
and
where
all of the small farmers. I deal with redneckers. I mean, the small farmers that they're scared to death to say anything against the system. I speak out a lot, and I get in trouble a lot. They come in and try to regulate this and that, the other, to market I sell at, and I was on the front line to get off of my market, basically. And I'll tell you something else, in my opinion. The University of Tennessee is the biggest trouble for us. They're the ones that in Tennessee push this cow tags and IDs, and they also wanted to come and check my pigs, my chickens, and all of that. I don't want them on my land. I don't trust them, and what they are is government control is all in the world that is. I can handle it myself. If there's a disease outbreak, I could understand them being here, but that's not the case. They're here to control you. And it is a one-world government in the making. That's all part of it, my opinion.
Well, Daryl, we're going to have you. We're going to have you in the studio next time we have Dwayne come back in.
I can talk, and I know what I'm talking about. Let me tell you one other thing. I sold canned food at the KOA campground 40 years ago, and without a problem for a while. Now, think about that. Non-labeled, straight off the farm, and it was just moving like crazy. Try that now.
Yeah,
never get your foot in the door.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be definitely stripped of your right to farm. I mean, if you don't comply to the cease and desist.
Go ahead, Daryl. What were you saying?
But let me tell you this guy, Dwayne, sir, you're the best, and we appreciate you, but trying to get the small farmers to get in together with you is real difficult. For one thing, we're not the smartest group of the people I know, and including myself in that bunch. But overall, we're chicken because, take away my canned food and my little pigs, my little goats, I'm struggling.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. I mean, for one, don't undersell yourself because we are not dumb farmers like everybody wants to say we are. I mean, we are some hard-working, we are American values personified. And so, don't undersell yourself, say you're not the smart guy of the bunch. And two, I agree. I mean, we're scared. I mean, our livelihood can be taken away if we're property owners. I mean, that's it. That's the only thing of value we have besides our animals. And we see that these guys come in, take away our property. They kill off our herds and livestock like you can read in some of the examples of the SWAT raids. And, sure, we don't want that. But in numbers, I mean, I just don't. Man.
Well, let me ask both of you a question. I'm the dumbest farmer of all. Let me ask you both: are there any small farmer co-ops or organizations where you can get together and flex your muscles?
Oh, I mean, a lot of people direct you to Farm Bureau and some of these other bigger, associations. But I'll tell you, they work against us every step of the way when it comes to Richmond.
And let me say, Anthony, the organic man, what's his name? Anthony run for election in Virginia.
That's Anthony. Anthony Flacoveno.
Yeah, he come to my farm, and I've only got about 40 acres, and I lease a little bit. But he said, you can be organic certified real quick. He looked at the worms in the ground. I thought, you're all right. Organic, by the way, is only as organic as a man is honest. So when the bugs get on his crop, count on one thing: he will get those bugs off one way or another, or he'll have no crop.
That's truth right there.
Well, I want to tell you, my wife won't let me do it.
I've got friends that sells goat milk, raw goat milk, and the way they get around the regulations here is they label on their jar they sell as animal use only.
Yep, pet food.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Daryl, thank you for calling this morning. If I was to spray my little garden out there, I would be sleeping on the couch for a week or two.
Well, with good reason too.
I got to disagree with Daryl a little bit there. Man, when we say organic, we mean organic.
Yeah.
And unless there's something in the horse that excreted the material that I put on my garden, it is organic, 100%. There. Let me tell you how to make $1 million, Dwayne. You ready for this?
Yeah, shoot. I'm always up for
develop a device, an affordable device that you can take into the grocery store, and you go to the organic section and you can do a little test right there to find out if it's really organic. And if that device was $100 or less, and you had a good marketer, you would be a millionaire practically overnight.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I mean, that's a lot of high expectations for the grocery store. I think a better solution is to actually just go to your farmers markets, talk to your farmers. I mean, you can tell a genuine person from a mile away.
Yeah.
And, just find the good, healthy, fresh produce that was probably just picked the day before, ripe, right on the vine, right off the bush, and problem solved. You don't need to spend money on devices and so I think to me personally that would be my advice to give on that $1 million question of yours.
Okay, we were talking a little while ago about the unelected government. I would call a shadow government within the government.
Yes.
And that seems to be the problem. There seems to be, I'm starting to connect all these dots, and whether we're talking about Islam being taught in Tennessee public schools, or some kind of a federal raid or something on farmers in Virginia or California or somewhere. There seems to be this, when you go to the politicians, they say, it's not me.
Yeah.
Not my fault.
No, in fact, their whole campaign speeches are, I'm going to go and fight against this shadow government.
Yeah.
And, we elect them on that basis.
Yeah, and so why don't we figure out a way to redevelop or maybe get rid of part of the shadow government, so when we go to our elected representative, we can say, what are you doing about Islam being taught in school? What are you doing about federal raids on our farmers because they're committing the sin of selling raw milk?
Yeah. The evil farmers.
We've got to find out. It's on my thing with Islam. I said, who is doing this? I want to know who's doing this. We finally got it. We finally got it narrowed down to the Board of Education, the State Board of Education.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now that's not far enough. Who on the State Board of Education? Who appointed them? Why are they not elected? Why? You got to get right down to it. I say, don't look at the fruit. Look at the root.
The root, yeah, absolutely. Well, see, the problem is that we have a duality within our government, like you're pointing out. Half of our government is elected and accountable to us and the Constitution, and the other half is not elected. They're appointed, and they just seem to not have any respect for the Constitution. I mean, we talk about NSA spying. We have a constitutional amendment that guarantees that we have our privacy, yet they don't seem to think that it applies to them. We have a right to farm, I mean, in my opinion, but yet that shadow government does not feel that, it applies to them to honor that. So within the duality of our government, we have our elected officials, they run on their campaigns that they're going to stand against, these non-elected governmental departments. And then, at the same token, when you ask them for solutions to help you out, they'll say, oh, well, you might not like this, but, we can take a little money from the tax purse and implement a regulatory building in your community that will basically just do nothing but implement more non-elected government in our presence.
And so the cycle goes on.
Yeah.
You were preaching so good a little while ago. I was about to start giving you some organ lifts there, man. It is 11 minutes till 9 o'clock, and we're going to take a break, and so that we have plenty of time in our last segment. If you want to get in on the conversation, please do. We invite you, 1-800-469-0098 or 276-466-0098. Our guest is Dwayne McIntyre, George West, Super Talk 92.9. About 10 minutes till 9 o'clock, and temperature is beginning to rise a little bit. 66 degrees, our average right now, still mostly cloudy outside. And we're shooting for a high around 77, partly sunny sky today. Clouds should be burning off. Our guest is the chairman of the Russell County Republican Party, Dwayne McIntyre. And Dwayne, you know, we're talking about the big brother thing, these shadow governments, non-elected governments within the government, and, of course, the federal government and all their power. And you're seeing in states like California, you're seeing raw milk raids of literally SWAT teams.
Yes.
SWAT teams. And you have an article there. Talk about that.
Well, there's a lot of information. I mean, I think I have a list of 4, 8, 9, 10 different states where these SWAT teams are happening. And, the reality is that some of these states actually have legal raw milk sales. So it's the federal government not respecting the states' rights to make their own rules and whatnot. But, we see this growing trend. And like I said, it has escalated over the last 10 years since, the Homeland Security Act has happened. 2004 was the first incidence, and then it just two incidents the next year, 3 incidents the next year, and it just keeps growing to the point of like what? I mean, I don't know.
Well, they're arming government agencies that you wouldn't normally think needed to be armed.
Yeah. Well, the USDA put in a petition in May to the government to get submachine guns, SWAT-style submachine guns with laser night vision scopes and, all this stuff, body armor and all this stuff. I mean, I just read an article this week on the Internet about some school, and I can't recall where it's from. They have armored trucks. The school systems are now buying military surplus from the government. What is that? I mean, what is really going on in this country?
Why does the USDA need submachine guns?
Yeah, well, because, these zucchini growers are some dangerous terrorists. I mean, that's what they're trying to sell.
I'm trying a late crop of zucchini right now, so it must be me.
Yeah.
What do you think? There are a lot of people I ask at the rally, the Tea Party rally, Southwest Virginia, the other night. One of the first questions I ask is who thinks that we're going to have some kind of financial crash in the next 5 years? And I think everybody in the room raised their hand.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's just we all kind of see it coming.
So what a lot of people are doing, and what I'm doing, is I'm learning how to be a small farmer. I'm learning how to farm. I'm learning how to raise. We're learning how to can. As a matter of fact, I think it was Dwight, our last caller. Dwight, if you're still listening, my wife and I would like to come. Daryl. Okay, Daryl. My wife and I would like you to teach us better canning techniques. Would you call me after the show? Yeah. I'm serious. I want to come and I want to see how you do it because I want to be prepared for whatever happens,
This is the honest reason why I'm a farmer. You just see it coming. I'm not prepared. I mean, I'll tell you what, though, now I've got food. So, if I have to hide in a hole somewhere, I'm good to go.
If I don't get if I don't get it together, I'm coming to your house. Okay, Angela's on the phone here at 6 minutes till 9 o'clock. Angela, what say you this morning? Hello, Angela.
Hello. Yes, hello. I would like to ask Dwayne McIntyre this question. I was told recently that I need to improve my farm. It's a very old farm. Our family came here in the late 1790s. I'm past 80. I don't have any money except Social Security. They want to put water troughs, which you spoke about, and fencing, which will tie me up for 10 years. I'm not even pleased with fencing so far from the water, from the creeks, because it eats up land. But I was told if I don't do this, and it does look like a fine program, if I don't do this in a year or two, I will be fined for not improving my land. Well, if I'm past 80 already, I don't have money to improve my land. I'm existing on Social Security.
Yeah, my curiosity is exactly why do you have to improve your land? I mean, that should be a question. And if they're asking you to do it and then telling you they're going to punish you if you don't, then why do they even bother asking? Why don't I mean, they're just pretending to not be the Gestapo that they are, I believe. I mean, it's great and all, and I understand your position, but, gosh, I don't understand.
Is there no organization that can go in and at least give her some advice?
Oh, well, I do know that we have. Honestly, I'm not sure what would deal with that specifically. Unfortunately, they're going to probably fine her, and then her taxes, will go up, and they're just going to financially crush her until she complies. I mean, that's what we're all dealing with.
There's always a way out, and somebody's going to give you, Dwayne McIntyre, an idea. So, Angela, I want you to wait a week or two and then call the Russell County Republican Party, and
Yes.
and Dwayne will have the answer by then.
Yeah, I will definitely look into this for you and see, what your options are. I mean, unfortunately, I'm not aware of an option at the moment. But
So there's no advocate?
No, not at the moment. It's just basically you can go to your delegates and your senators, but they're just going to implement non-governmental agencies.
Well, as a Christian man, I know an advocate, so
yeah,
I'll talk to him.
Very true.
Yeah. Angela, thank you for calling, and check back. Keep listening. Check back with us, okay?
Yes, I will. Thank you.
Okay,
so
thank
much
you
for
very
being
much.
here. Thank you.
We'll be holding you in prayer. All right, it is 9 minutes. It's 3 minutes till 9 o'clock. Our guest is Dwayne McIntyre, and he is the head of the chairman of the Republican Party of Russell County. And tell us again about honoring small farmers and what it's going to be about and who needs to be there. All small farmers, definitely.
Yes, small farmers, anybody. I mean, anybody who wants to be involved, support this issue, come on out. You can get your tickets online at our website, russellcountyvagop.org. Our guest speaker is Joel Salatin. He's nationally famous. He's actually a world-famous farmer. He speaks and writes books on behalf of all these issues. We have legislators going to be in attendance presenting their legislation that's meant to actually help us and help create a buffer between us and these SWAT teams, but more importantly, all the regulators that kind of are giving us a hard time. And then at the same token, the legislation is going to take us poor farmers and allow us to sell more product that we create on our farm at our local markets or off our farm, and then grow our farmer base into a middle class base where we can actually live the American dream.
We'll put information about this honoring small farmers coming up October 10th. We'll put it on the George West Show Facebook page. And for those that aren't on Facebook, you can go to www.russellcountyvagop.org, and it has more information as well. And we're just about out of time. Any final thoughts, Dwayne?
One thing that everybody can do is join your local political party. I call you to the Republican Party, but the more involved everybody is, the more influence everybody has. And unfortunately, we do have a two-party system, so that's the vehicle we have to work with. The principles of the Republican Party are Christian conservative principles. You can't judge the Christianity based on the Westboro Baptist Church, so you can't really judge the Republican Party based off of a few bad apples that don't serve us.
Yeah, great point.
So, get involved and, come on out. If you live in Russell County, come on out. We meet every third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. in the West Room of the Community Center behind Town Hall in Lebanon. And, just get involved. I'm telling you, it is the most influential thing you can do.
Do you speak at local groups, civic groups, and so forth?
I have not. No, not yet.
Okay. Well, you ought to start.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Today. All right. Thank you very much, Dwayne McIntyre.
All right.
And we'll have a follow-up on this and check our Facebook page. It's 9 o'clock, George West Super Talk 92.9.